I've put Tulane back in the SEC, which they left back in 1966 to focus on academics, and I'll be rebuilding them for the next 5 seasons with the main goal being winning a national championship. I doubt I'll be able to make that happen with their current roster, but after recruiting in only Louisiana and Mississippi, I'm hoping I can build a high-level team. And my toughest decision has been who to start at quarterback, but I think we're going to redshirt transfer Caden Simonza while rolling with senior Ty Thompson for this first season. On the recruiting side of things, you're already going to see one of the most exciting parts about taking over Tulane. Some of these players were able to put 75 hours into, while the rest of them are stuck at 50. And the reason for that is head coach John Sumrall really focuses on recruiting at these positions. As you can see, we could get close to getting cornerbacks extra hours as well. And he also has points in tactician there, even opening up the strategist tree, which we never get to go down, but this just boosts our visits and make it more likely that we're going to sign those players. I will say, for only recruiting out of Mississippi and Louisiana, I like some of the options we have so far, but we still have to convince them to sign to Tulane. Our first game is going to be against Northwestern. And the last rule I have in this 5-year rebuild where we try to win a championship is I can only play 3 regular season games a year. With Tulane being in the SEC, I'm probably going to wait until later in the season to play. But what that means is we could lose some of these first matchups, and we just beat Northwestern by 2 points. The next week at South Alabama, we also just survived by a few points. It's gotten us ranked inside the top 25. And you know what? Even if being in the SEC is going to make things so much more difficult, the nice part about it is we're always going to get a good boost to our ranking. That bias is going to help us out, and I do actually want to play this game against Duke because Tulane lost their quarterback to Duke in real life. So not only are we trying to keep the undefeated season alive, this is a personal matchup. I want him to know that he made the wrong decision going to the Blue Devils. We also lost our star running back to Oregon, which is why I am surprised that we have a chance to start this season 3-0. But there's a flag, and I threw an interception straight to him. It's against us, it's holding, so the interception stands. And moments like that are the exact reason we have not been able to pull away against the Blue Devils, but we're going up 21-7. I think that's a great way to end the third quarter. And on the defensive side of things, we know exactly how to stop their quarterback, which we're going to come away with another one. In the final couple of minutes, they have gotten it within 7, but we're about to run for a first down. And if we could just pick up one more, that would completely end this game, which we're going to do right here. We might as well get the touchdown. There's a reason I wanted to hop into this game and play it, to make sure we won. And I think starting Ty Thompson with all of his senior experience was a good idea. Granted, over the course of his actual real-life college career, I'm pretty sure Ty Thompson has just rode the bench, so I'm not sure where he's getting that experience from. But if we look at recruiting, you're going to see we have a lead on every player that we're going after. It's going to be a tight battle with Georgia for Fowler, but at least we're in it. Robert Takeoff's the quarterback we're going after. He's not a gym, but he is a 4-star. And I'm pretty confident if we can go to 4-0, a lot of those players would choose Tulane. There we go. It's only been a few weeks and we're already making some signings. But I'm not sure things are going as well as you all might hope they are. You're going to see that we have about 16 players that are considering transferring out. We're at 3-1. And we lost by 1 point to UTSA before our double bye week, which coming after it is a bunch of SEC games that are going to be a lot harder. It's all good though. John Creer, a 5-star defensive tackle Jim, has committed a week later. He was from Louisiana. He wanted to stay in the state, though LSU is another school he could have attended, and I'm a bit afraid they're going to take a lot of prospects from us. Again though, even if that ends up frustrating me, the fact that we got the quarterback that we wanted, Robert Takeoff, makes me very happy. And right before we start SEC play, they've put us back inside the top 25. With a lot more hours available now for recruiting, we're able to go after some new prospects, see if we're able to bring in some 3-stars, even 4-stars that aren't getting much love. And I was a bit we could even find some players like that at this point in the season. You're going to see Kentucky is undefeated. To be honest, my dream is Kentucky ends up getting rid of Mark Stoops and then we take Tulane's head coach. But for something like that to ever happen, we would need to beat them and make sure they're not having as good of a season. At the moment though, we're not having the best first half. It's 17-7. I'm gonna try to beat them deep. There's just not any separation. And you know what? I know it's raining, but we should have held on to that ball. I think we got to go for a round 2 on 4th and 8. See if we can actually get this to work out in our favor. Again, they're keeping up so well, but we catch it. And this is what we needed. We need to go to 4-1. They scored to start the second half though, so we're back down by 10. On 4th and 2, we're not picking it up. And we are very fortunate that we were able to stop them after that, but they're playing good D. By the time there's only 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter, I'm not sure what we're going to do. We're going to have to force this ball on 3rd and 16. But Mario Williams dropped it. 4th and 16 now. We are picking up their blitz pretty well, but I tried to click on and make the play, and they got the pick instead. I almost think that I just made things worse for us in this game. Kentucky's been extremely solid. 4th and 6, down by 13. This is everything. And I'd like to get off one more snap before the 2-minute warning, which we have done. We're going to throw up a prayer and hope for the best right here, which we don't get. I don't know what the physics are on this, but they did end up getting a hand on the ball. And I think what we're going to have to accept is we're not going to win this game, though we beat the press on the next play and Mario Williams is gone. There is some life in this one for Tulane. And this is all that I wanted. We know the run's going to be coming. The question is, can we stop them from getting 5 yards? And I'm pretty confident they're just going to hand it off on 3rd and 5, which they did. We used our final timeout. And here we go. 1.5 minutes left on the clock. There is hope. There's going to be a stretch throughout this season where we lose like 4 or 5 games. I saw how hard it was supposed to be. I mean, maybe we get a win in Sim, but I am fully expecting us to lose, which is why I wanted to come out on top versus Kentucky. We're breaking the tackle. It is now 2nd and 3 with a minute left, and I think we're going to run the ball, hopefully get the first down, but they were ready for it. By the time we get this next snap off, there's 45 seconds left. We did beat their man-to-man coverage right there, though, and that is when Ty Thompson is going to let us down. We can't have stuff like that. We're going all the way to the 5. Now, I'm a little bit nervous right here. I don't want them to have enough time to respond with a field goal, so we're going to run it once. And I think we took enough time off of the clock. Now we're going to roll out, see if we can just scramble in, which we do. It has been done. We did not play good for a lot of this matchup, but we have somehow come out on top against my Wildcats. I fully understand having a tight game against them says a lot about this team. It's not that good, but cut Tulane some slack. It's our first of 5 years in the SEC. Picking up another win, we're going to be ranked 17th going into our game against Mississippi State. Somehow they're also 4-1 though. And I'm just relieved we ended up beating them by 13, especially since they had over 2 times more yards of offense than us. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions is going to get you that though. And I put challenges in place to make this 5-year rebuild difficult, but Tulane doesn't seem to care. We are in the hunt for a playoff spot. Things are probably about to fall apart though. I highly doubt we're going to stay at the top of the SEC standings. And that's because starting this week, we're about to have that tough slate where we have to face Tennessee. It turns out, like expected, our season's going to go south after Tennessee beats us, Alabama beats us, and number 4 Texas A&M, which has made it so we have no chance at the SEC championship, but it's Tulane's first year in this conference, and all I want to do is make it to a bowl. I think we're going to be able to beat Vanderbilt, but I'm not entirely sure. We're probably going to play it instead of Missouri, and I do need to point out that during that time period, we lost out on the 4-star Jim from Louisiana. The receiver went to LSU, but that's a smart decision for a receiver. Alabama also stole this running back from us, but besides that, we seem to be leading on a lot of the players that are still on our board. And I honestly think it's key for us to have a lot of 3-stars coming in so we can build up some solid depth throughout this entire video. We are also going to have Sam Howard winning Player of the Week with only 9 tackles. He must have had an interception or something. And it might have even been a game-winning interception because we won 21-16. I've noticed a bit of a problem though. Donovan Leary, who transferred in, is our current starting quarterback, and he's most likely going to finish out the rest of the year because Ty Thompson dislocated his ankle and he's out for 6 weeks. That's not the news I wanted to see, but I'm still really happy with how this first year's gone, and I'm hoping we continue that success against Vanderbilt. As a Kentucky fan, I unfortunately had to experience Devin Leary, but I haven't experienced Donovan Leary, and I'm almost certain that they're brothers. So far, he hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's gotten us inside the red zone. Down to the 2 now with a chance to finish this first half, up 14-3. We just have to punch in the run. For some of the key players that the Green Wave lost, we're doing well. But then again, this is Vanderbilt that we're playing, and that means that we should be able to come out on top. They had their above average season, but now we're going to the back of the end zone. We're hanging on to the ball, and basically we controlled this entire game. I can almost guarantee we're going to lose next week though, and that's because we're going to be playing against number 4 Texas. It's okay though, because dropping this game, we're still going to be 7-5. And for our first season in the SEC, to finish above LSU in the standings, that's a major deal. I'm really hoping they get on our schedule at some point. If we look at some of these centers that we're going after, we are about to close out on 2 of the 5 stars, but I also want to get full. And our only chance of pulling that off is going to be going into the recruiter tree, unlocking down to tier 3 for offensive linemen, and then putting those extra 15 hours into him. I guess that wasn't worth it though, because he's still committed to Ole Miss. And right now, taking a look at our 2 coordinators, if I'm going to get rid of one of them, it's going to be Sam Bradshaw. He isn't offering too much. I like the recruiting bonuses that we get from Brian Cruz. And look at that. Jackson Arnold won the Heisman Trophy, 47 touchdowns. Our bowl game matchup is going to be against Georgia Tech. And I'm pretty pretty certain that we're still going to be without Ty Thompson, so we'll see how Donovan Leary does. Those season stats were nothing to be too impressed with. Arnold Barnes III is also injured. At the receiving position, Shaz Preston was number 1. And I'm hoping he comes back for his senior season, especially if we can get Mike Coffey to be his offensive coordinator. Before we can find any of that out though, we have to play the Yellow Jackets in the bowl game. And I honestly have no idea whether or not we're going to be able to take them down. It turns out we have been pretty limited having Leary at quarterback. We're struggling. And I highly doubt that we're going to be able to pull off a fourth quarter comeback, but it would be nice. It should not have taken us this long to wake up in this game. But we were able to stop them again, and we have the ball inside the 15-yard line. If we can throw for a touchdown, all of a sudden this is a very manageable comeback. But that's the reason that we're not doing well. Honestly, after a read as bad as that one, I don't even want to still be in this game. I feel awful. But the game gave us a fumble, and we are right back in a decent position, so we have got to try and get a tutty. We're within a possession. It isn't over. And I might as well just get the 2-point conversion try out of the way now, though we don't have a scrambling quarterback with Leary. I have made a mistake, especially since they're going to pick that off. And I think they're going to return it for 2 points too. If we could just catch them with our running back, they won't get that. Come on, we're going to get them. They break the tackle. It's all good. There is probably far too much effort going into this one for a bowl game. That was almost a first down run. And because of that, they're trying to end it on this play instead of kicking a field goal, which they aren't going to do. There is hope, just like in the Kentucky game, there was hope. And I think we actually have them beat deep, assuming that we had the step, and Preston did. Listen, for recruiting purposes, winning a bowl game, finishing 8-5 would be absolutely massive. But I'm going to need these throws to at least be in bounds, so we have a chance at getting into the end zone. 3rd and goal. All of a sudden, we are not in a great spot. We're going to have to throw this one away. And it just hit me. We kick our field goal. We're still in this one. Is it the ideal spot to be? Absolutely not. But we can stop the run, and it's going to be 3rd down. I would expect them to pass it here, which they did, but we couldn't stop the bubble. And I just put in all of that effort for no reason. With the SEC having all 4 of the semifinal teams in the playoffs, though, we had a great year for our first year in the conference. And we're even putting Mario Williams on to the NFL. A couple players do want to transfer out. Ty Thompson leaving, of course. I wonder if these guys are even going to come back. They're not going to be that big of pieces, but I'm sure they're nice to have, and this will at least keep our pro potential grade up. Whenever it comes to the transfer portal, though, and players that we can sign, nobody from Mississippi is interested in coming to Tulane. From Louisiana, there's a couple 2-stars, but that's about it. And to try and fill up this class, I'm already having to go after a ton of those, so it's not like that's anything new. The first couple years in a 5-year rebuild, all the players I recruit is the most important part. And I will say, at the moment, there's some positions like wide receiver that are going to look really rough in Season 5 if we don't start to figure out something else. There's also always the threat that those players could transfer out in the future, that we just don't sign them in the first place either. I mean, Purdue got a 2-star receiver they really wanted. And that leaves our class at 31 players. We're still going to have quite a few though. We're just going to have a lot more 2-stars than I would have liked. Dev trait wise though, I'm expecting John Creer to be an elite dev player, which he is. So he's going to be incredible for us on the defensive line. Robert Takeoff is a star dev at quarterback. And just when I thought our defensive line couldn't get any better, Glenn McCullum at right end is also elite. I'm very happy with how our class came together. It's ranked 22nd in the country though, for only recruiting out of Mississippi and Louisiana. Pretty solid. The 2-stars probably didn't help out too much, but we also have some athletes to move around, which is always exciting. Deacon Darby is 6'4" with 94 speed. That might be our answer at receiver. And then we have Willie Farrell that I'm actually going to put at tight end with his 88 speed, even if he is a bit undersized. With training results, I'm seeing some exciting stuff. Shaz Preston's up to a 90 overall, should get drafted. We also have a 99 speed sophomore corner, but our overall only went from a 79 to an 80. And Donovan Leary will not be starting for us. Redshirting Caden Simonza, who's just a sophomore, was the right idea. The real question will be, with his normal dev and being an improviser, do we want to roll with him knowing his accuracy is capped out here, or do we want to give Robert Takeoff a chance? I think it's a decently hard decision to make. I don't want him to ever consider transferring out from here. His elusiveness can max out, his accuracy can also get pretty good. But at the moment, he's the 3rd best quarterback on the depth chart, so unless we lose a bunch of games, he's going to sit for a bit. I can already tell that if we don't start this season strong, we're going to be in a lot of trouble too, because if you look at our schedule, it just gets harder and harder quarter. But that's what we get throwing Tulane in the SEC. We only have 12 seniors, but I'm still going to try and sign another full class of a lot of great players. I'm actually pretty excited with what I've come up with so far. This is just the scouting period, but you're going to see multiple receivers with 98 speed. We really need to land on. And I already spent some coach points making it so we could scout players faster, but we're going to get down to tier 3 for receivers just so we can put more hours into them, and we might as well also get Always Be Cruton for corners. If we could just sign these 10 players, that would basically cover for everything that we didn't get last year, though LSU is in the battle for basically every player that we're targeting. And it's going to be either us or them that comes out on top. We have to start the season at Duke. I really don't want to play this one again, but we're going on the road. They're the higher overall team. And some of their fans have beanies on in August. This is the first week of the season. It can't possibly be that cold. That 4th and 2 conversion helped us score our first touchdown, but ever since then, we have been held scoreless. And I'm hoping that we can hit this field goal to end the first half. It's lined up down the middle. The full power doesn't hurt us. And we've maintained that lead all the way up until the final few minutes. But after stopping us, Duke got the ball back, and I'm getting a little bit concerned. On 2nd and 10, we should have had a pick. This is where legends on this team could be made. I mean, it's a first week game, but I really want to beat Duke. 3rd and 10, we get the sack, and I am even going to burn a timeout. That'll give us about a minute and a half to score if they hit this field goal, though it looks like it's just going to doink off of the upright. And we are 1 first down away from beating the Blue Devils, though they are all over the run. There's one thing I like to do in this scenario. We're going to audible and see if Preston beats the press over there. If they run commit, it looks like they did run commit, and we got it. It was not a great pass, but it was a spectacular catch. We can probably be taking a knee. I don't know why we're still running. That's going to allow us to get the start to the year that I was looking for. And for the time being, we are going to keep Caden Simonza out there. We're probably going to have to start Simon, though. We're about to play South Alabama, Arkansas, and I think Southern Miss. And there's honestly no reason that we should only be beating South Alabama by 4 points, but if we scored 42, it must mean that Caden was playing well. I'm pretty sure that we're about to lose our next one, though. We're going on the road at 87 overall Arkansas. And win or lose, we picked up 4-star cornerback RJ Allen. It looks like the Razorbacks did take us down by 11, but the week after, we beat Southern Mississippi by 8 points. They're 0-4, so it should have been by more. I just have to take it because we couldn't have afforded to fall to 2-2, and now we have to play at number 9 Kansas State. I didn't want to play 2 non-conference games, but I feel like we have no choice. If we aren't able to take down Kansas State, our championship contender drops. And that'd cause us to get locked out of some recruits, or they just flip their commitment entirely. I love that they added flip commitments into this game. It's just not fun whenever you're on the receiving end of losing them. And since our defense has not existed in this first half, I don't think we're beating the Wildcats. For whatever reason, I thought this was going to be an easy win for us to get, but their defense is literally locking up everything. And we got flat out embarrassed 37-7. I really can't see why Russ Dolan, another 5-star defensive tackle, would decide to commit after that. And Greg Smoot is basically useless. We run a 3-3-5. He just committed behind 2 5-star defensive tackles. He does not seem to care, though. We're very close to landing Trey Ty. These other receivers, it's going to be very tight on. And I really don't like the idea of our final game of the season I can hop into being this one at South Carolina, but they're number 3 in the country. I think we can pull it off. That is exactly what I thought going into the last one, though. But our season is only going to get worse from this moment. We need to win this game so badly. I want to get back to another bowl. And it took us a quarter to score, but this is still a good way to open it up. We've been much better on the defensive side of the ball. On this 3rd and 5, they're all over it. And we will see if we get man-to-man coverage on 4th and 6. It looks like it is going to be zone, but that's why we have a slant. I really want Preston to just beat the press over there, but they're guarding him pretty well, which is why we keep on going back to our running back. This is a good play from McClure. And the South Carolina Stadium pulse is through the roof. It's one of the best in the country, but it isn't going to matter. I have also just found the jackpot for the rest of the video once we get down to this position. We have Wildcat in the Tulane playbook, so we're going to score a touchdown. It has not been enough to stay in front, though, once we've reached the final 4 minutes. We have to pick up this 3rd down. We do. And I would love if this was the final drive of the game, because right now, I'm not feeling too confident. Jamari McClure's having himself a moment, though. He just got pulled, and now we're going to find the tight window. I like what our backup running back has been able to do in this one. Blocks lining up besides there. And I think the coach suggestions thinks we can settle for a field goal from here, but I don't trust myself. That is a very challenging kick to hit. We're going to take a sack. And on 3rd and 13, I'm going to try to hit our slant. I don't think we're going to get the first, but we do. With a dude in his face, Caden Simonza just made one of the best throws I have seen out of him. And South Carolina is completely out of hope. All we have to do is just drill this field goal, that is not going to be challenging. And I'm really hoping beating the number 3 team in the country gives us some respect. It's not just going to be good news though. You're going to see Trey Ty settled for Ole Miss. Alonzo Burns went to LSU, so we only got 2 of the receivers I wanted. And I'm afraid that our last winnable game of the season that I feel confident simming is against Vanderbilt. I mean, we still have to sim these either way, but they're all ranked teams, big programs, which is not a good sign. We're 4-2, which means we probably won't make it to a bowl. Things would definitely be a lot worse if we didn't just beat the Commodores, but I'm pretty confident the next time we check in on where we're at in the SEC, it's not going to be that high. We've made our 8 main signings, but I'm just going to keep on focusing on recruiting, see how many more players, especially 4-stars, that we can bring in. And Texas A&M is 0-3 in conference play, but they won all their non-conference games, plus they're an 88 overall. It's safe to say that after a few weeks, players are going to consider transferring out. And that's because we're picking up loss after loss. But both Alabama and Texas aren't having the best of years. I just don't see how our roster could beat them. My biggest fear, though, is some of the players that we got to commit care about championship contender. It's their deal breakers, so we could see them flip their commitment somewhere else. And here's a perfect example of a player we can't even sign now because of that. It really seems like a lot's about to go wrong in these final couple weeks, and the more we lose, the more players are going to want to leave. It sure doesn't help that for the second year in a row, Arnold Barnes III has an injury that's going to put him out the rest of the year. We're also missing John Creer, our 5-star defensive tackle. But we have 15 coach points to spend, and I am so desperate for us to maybe just beat Texas that I'm going to start dumping it into tactician, helping out our defense. It's still a long shot, but they're 2-5 in SEC play just like us. They're not enjoying joining the conference either. And I cannot believe it. Our championship contender is up to a B-. We just got the luckiest result in the world, 34-18 as well. How did Texas end up losing this? They still have Arch Manning, and we were using Donovan Leary. Caden Simonza wasn't even on the injury report. He must have got hurt on like the first play. 18 interceptions this year. But talk about Donovan Leary coming in clutch 2 seasons in a row. Maybe we should have respected him a little bit more. Our rushing stats just look bad, but that's because Alonzo Barnes III got hurt. And Chaz Preston hasn't gotten over 1,000 yards yet, but I think we're going to be in a bowl game. The only reason that we wouldn't is because we finished 14th in the SEC, so we might not get that opportunity. But if we don't, I have to be okay with that. We are in a very tough conference. Heisman winner comes from Georgia, and there it is. We're finishing 6-6. Obviously, things look rough over the last 5 years for Tulane. It's just a continuous downward slope. But I still believe we're going to be able to turn things around even if the SEC had 3 of the 4 semifinal teams this year. They are definitely making things pretty tough on us. I probably should have fired our defensive coordinator so we could get another tactician in here, but that's just going to have to wait until next year. We're still getting our pro potential up, and it seems like no one's transferring out. I am a little afraid though that next year we're not going to have anybody drafted, and then our pro potential is going to drop. Players are going to leave. But on the bright side, there are some players available for us to go after in the portal. They just have to be from Mississippi or Louisiana, and all 5 of these top prospects are. I was reading some comments though, and you all told me to put on other filters, not recommended, to see more transfer options. That has not worked for me, but it's at least okay for this season because we already have 34 players on our board. We don't need that much more. We aren't going to win all these battles though, especially whenever we have to decide on what their hard sell is, and there is no info to help me out guessing it. I'm actually shocked that we ended up beating out LSU for him, and this class is going to be even bigger than the last one. The 4-star running back did choose Auburn over Tulane, staying in the SEC, so we're going to have to face him. But I think this class has to be rated higher than the last one, and it is inside the top 20. I feel like recruiting out of only Mississippi and Louisiana really hasn't been much of a challenge, but the real challenge we're going to be faced with is turning Tulane into a championship contender. I think after a couple more years of development, we should be there. You're going to see a lot of sophomores at the top of our roster. I just happen to think the main reason for that, most of them being on defense, is because we have fully maxed out our tactician tree. Even our offensive coordinator should have the defensive side of the ball maxed out. Now we have to work on doing it for the offensive side for our head coach. And that's going to cost us 80 coach points. We only have 25 at the moment, plus we might need to use those for some other things. We have also been hit with a rough reality. I have to cut 16 players because I over-recruited. And what I've realized is even though I thought I was going to need to sign a pretty big class in season number 3 as well to finish out building up the roster, since this is only a 5-year rebuild and we have 6 seniors, juniors, this class can be pretty tiny. Whether or not we have success in the final 3 years is really all going to be about roster retention. I would love to see Robert Takeoff as our starting quarterback over Caden Simonza, and I think it's pretty understandable why. He is a junior, so he won't be around by season number 5. His accuracy is maxed out. But Robert Takeoff says not. It has a lot of room to grow, and he will also be around in our final year. Just to give him a little bit of a boost as a starter as well, that's where I'm going to spend some of our coach points. We're going to go in the tactician tree. We've unlocked tier 4, and trust me, I think he's going to need that. Looking at our schedule, I'm actually liking the fact that we don't have that tough of one. Miami, Ohio is an easy non-conference game. Only a few ranked SEC teams on our schedule, but where is LSU? It really is a shame that EA never put protected conference rivals in the game. That was something that they said we'd have on release. But since they never got around to it or never figured out how to get it to work on here, we can't make sure that we play LSU. I just want to once. That's my hope for this video, at least. These schools cannot continue to avoid each other. There are going to be just 8 prospects we're going after, a lot of 4-star gems. And to be honest, I could talk up players like Cameron Gam. I could talk up Jaden Mayo. I could even talk up this 95 speed running back or this gym tight end, but it doesn't matter. Most likely, if they do sign with us, they're not going to ever see the field. We have other players with years of development that are going to be ahead of them, but we're going to play our first game. And I'm about to test out how hard Takeoff can throw this ball. We had to get the 3rd and 3. In the next 3 years, since this is a 5-year rebuild, we better be winning a championship. And I'm just hoping that we continue to improve. On a 3rd and goal, we're going to have to go over to our flat and settle for 3. I mean, it's been a rough debut for Robert Takeoff. Our offensive line hasn't done the best of jobs, but they got things done on 4th and 1. We are now inside 8 minutes, hoping that we can tie it up in the next few plays. But we are going to have to catch the football, and our slant does get open. I really don't like the Demon Deacons or even keeping it close, but I think we're going to get them off the field. On 3rd and 5, they had a halfback screen that we couldn't get over to in time. They can't hit us with it again, though. On this 3rd down, we got pressure, and I would love to see if Snowden can get a good return going here. We got stuff. I'm just going to hit a wide receiver screen that they are fully playing, and we cannot get held to a 3 and out. We're going to roll out. We're going to see our corner route is there, but I decided to scramble. We can set up for a 3rd and 1 run. We picked up the last time we handed it off. We're going to get it here, and we have some faster tight ends on our team. We just can't throw right at them. You know, if anybody's the problem, it might be me, but I do see that we have beaten their press over on the left side, and Mabanasaur is running for 6. He won't be in the Heisman conversation. He still hits the post. And I am looking to dial in some pressure on 3rd and 4. We have sent our blitz. He just knew to run immediately. But it's okay. We've been able to get them to a 4th and 8. I like our coverage out there. They didn't even catch it. And this game is technically not over since they still have 2 timeouts, but we're going to run for more than a 1st down. McClure is getting out of there, and that's a great run. We saw he was going to be a beast, though, in previous games. And I'm pretty sure he's only a junior, so we're going to have him for 1 more year. That was literally perfect. It was what I was looking for. We're about to play Louisiana for our 2nd game, and I don't know why it's saying our championship contender just rose, because I can see we're 1 and 1. This is just disgusting. We should not be losing by 10 to another in-state school. The only time it would make sense is if it was LSU, but the SEC scheduling crew refuses to give us that. We're about to play another rival, Southern Miss, and I can tell you right now, we would have had some very big problems if we also lost this. And on the other side of 2 bye weeks, we have a chance to beat South Carolina for a 2nd year in a row. Considering that they're ranked again, and I think we play Alabama after this, I would actually really like to take down the Gamecocks. It would help a ton. And I think Takeoff is starting to get a little bit more comfortable back there at quarterback. He is able to literally take off and run to the 1. But we aren't going to go with a fullback dive. I believe that the quarterback deserves his touchdown, which he gets. I'm very excited to see how he continues to develop. And this game is going nothing like last year's. I mean, we are playing so well. We're about to go up 21-0. Here in the 3rd quarter, we're still in a pretty good spot, as you can see, throwing for another touchdown. And I don't think South Carolina is able to keep up with us. It's very refreshing, though. We've gotten to the point in the rebuild where we can win games like that. And let's just hope that's how the next 3 years go. The loss to Louisiana really threw me off, but I think we're proving it was a fluke. Alabama should beat us, which is why this shouldn't surprise anyone at all, besides the fact that we got beat by 32. I thought we could keep it closer. Maybe we just aren't there yet, though. Mississippi State 4-2. They keep on having good years, even though their overall is low. And I know I haven't talked much about recruiting, but that's the 3rd year in a row we've signed a 5-star for our defensive line. I think by now, everybody is already committed to Tulane that we were going after. We didn't lose out on a single player. And that says a lot about us, though. Beating Mississippi State 10-6 7 is not very encouraging. If we could just go on a 3-game winning streak, we would lock in being bowl eligible just like last year. Though what we learned was that doesn't guarantee us a bowl game, so I'd like to get to at least 7 wins. I can also say we aren't ranked in every poll, but in some of the polls we are, coming in at number 25. And I'm excited to keep that up. I could sim against Vanderbilt. This is a tough decision to make because we could play this, guarantee a win, but you know what? We're gonna sim. I trusted this team. We won 42-28, which means we must have had a pretty good offensive game. Not that many touchdowns from one player, but everyone was getting theirs, and I think we might as well try and take down the number 4 undefeated team in the country. If we were to somehow get into the SEC championship, it would have to be by beating Texas A&M, and it's not like it hurts us for us to take our shot at them. Everything I wanted out of this season has already happened so far, win-wise, recruiting-wise, and I like how the future seems to be setting in. On 3rd and 8, we're going to be able to pick it up, but if there was one area of this team I would like to improve moving forward, it is definitely our offensive line. That's going to have to come from development. It's going to be too late unless we find some transfers to really recruit better players at this point, and I think you can see why we still need to have a lot of development with this team, because whenever we have inaccuracies, it causes issues. Getting the first touchdown, though, is extremely realistic. We're just going to have to go for a little scramble, go to the 1, and what did I tell you about this Wildcat formation down on the goal line? I don't know what it is, but the blocking always works. When I was putting a lot of emphasis on that drive, I didn't realize it was going to be our only successful one of the game, but it really has been so far. That missed pass is not helping, and even if we do manage to hold them to a field goal, we're going to be down by 2 possessions. I really think our defensive line is coming together nicely, though, and I know that it's only going to get better from here. On 3rd and 5, I think we're just going to have to take our hitch, keep the drive alive, but now I feel like I have a bit more freedom to look for some deeper targets, and right here, our tight end is getting clamped. That is where we lost the game. Even a last-second touchdown is not going to save us. But you know what? We played a competitive matchup, and since we've already hopped into 3 games, we can sim to the end of the year. I wasn't sure exactly how we'd finish, but we beat Texas again, so we're going to be 7-5. And if a couple results went a little bit differently, with how competitive the SEC was, we probably could have gotten into the SEC championship. Maybe next year will be our year. I'm going to fire our recruiter, Brian Cruz. I'm going to look for a tactician. And sure enough, the Heisman winner is going to come from Texas A&M, Marcel Reed. I mean, he led them to an undefeated season. We're also looking to win a bowl game. Wait. Our punter won the Best Punter Award. I'm not sure if that's something we should really be excited about. It means we punted a lot. And I thought those stats looked really dumb. Justin Kingman was our starting punter. Our backup punter, Richard Maryland, won the Punter of the Year. It's not like he was kicking field goals or extra points either. I'm so confused how he won an award. That is very odd. I can say I am happy with Robert Takeoff's true freshman year. And I'm also glad that we get another season of Jamari McClure because I think he might hit 1,000 yards. We'll see if he can do it as a senior. We didn't have one receiver that was just a standout guy, but Alton Poe did have the most catches, the 6'4" freshman with star dev and also 98 speed. He's going to be an exciting player to have moving forward. This is the best tactician I can find, and we're just going to have to deal with that. Illinois scores more points per game than us, but I really want to win a bowl. That would mark an 8-5 season, the best one that we've had at Tulane, and I don't think it's going to be a problem to do that since Illinois is a 77 overall. Honestly though, if they had an offense that was even a tad bit competent, they could have made this interesting. Instead, we were able to completely dominate against the Fighting Illini. They're throwing us an interception in the final couple minutes. I'm not going to return it to be nice. We're already going to win the game. There's no reason to try and run up the score too much. We've gotten what we wanted, and it was Jamari McClure that carried us. I do have some bad news though. Hiring a new coordinator has made it so he wants to transfer out alongside our 91 overall cornerback. There's a risk that he leaves us, and I guess those players want to go to a school that has a bit more coach prestige. I think either way though, Isaiah Shine was just going to leave. He's projected to be a first-round pick, so we're going to let him go on to the NFL. I want credit for developing him here at Tulane. Jalen Wick, is he going to come back? He is. I redshirted him this year, so he could be around for the rest of the rebuild. We've also gotten Chance Dunn back. These players don't actually want to leave, and for the other ones that are, it's because they're graduating. Putting Shine into the NFL is a really big deal for us, honestly, even if he did leave a year early, because it keeps our pro potential up so less players transfer. And I didn't think I was going to go after anybody in the transfer portal, but this confirms it. We already got 8 players that I'm probably not even going to see much of. A couple elite devs though, including the 95 speed running back, so I'm really hoping that he develops. Wait, Was that 4 elite devs in a row? You know what, with development like that, they could actually shoot up really high in overall off of just one off season, so that's really good news. And my favorite trick to do at this point in the rebuild is start moving some of these tight ends over to left tackle so they can get better at blocking since they've maxed out their receiving stats. I'm really liking how things are starting to come along for us headed into season 4. We're an 88 overall, so we might be competitive in the SEC. We should be at least. We have some guys above a 90, but I'm still not seeing that huge overall jump out of Robert Takeoff I'm really hoping for. It looks like this season we are going to not get LSU on our schedule. What is it gonna take for that? And we have a full roster, losing 8 seniors. I still don't think there's gonna be any reason to recruit. The foundation has been laid. Robert Takeoff has 2 seasons to bring Tulane home a championship, only 74 deep accuracy at the moment. But that's something he can work on. It should go up next off season. We better start this season with a win. This is exactly what we were looking for. 49-0. I always play non-conference games though, and I think this time around, I'm just going to sim and play some of our conference games, especially with a weaker schedule. If Robert Takeoff's going to play this well, running 2, he almost had 100 yards there. I think it is worth it to see how far we can take this team. And I have no problem simulating against the Cyclones, hoping for the best. At some point, if we have a successful season, that coach prestige has got to go up. And we aren't just going to beat Iowa State by 2, a little bit scary. We're also going to beat Kent State, which means we are ready to start SEC play, and you best believe we're hopping into this one at home against Auburn. I have no idea if the Tigers are actually good or not, but I know going into this they're 3-1. And I can see why. They've been giving us problems throughout this entire game. We've only been able to score 14 points. But I will say part of that is because Robert Takeoff has 2 interceptions and no passing touchdowns. He's not having a good game so far, but maybe he'll start to step it up. The problem is anytime that he does something good, like 2 plays later, he messes up. Our offense has been non-existent. And that's how we keep on getting in these 3rd down and long situations. We're hoping to get a little separation versus number 4 there. Maybe we could have thrown it, but it was smarter to just scramble and go for extra yards. We have 10 minutes to pull off a 3-possession comeback, so it's not like it's impossible. And this will get it back within 2 possessions, just punch it in. The main problem we're running into though is they were able to score after that, so even if we've continued to pour in touchdowns, we're not taking a lead. We're still behind by multiple scores, and now there's only 3 minutes left on the clock. I don't want to scramble the whole way down the field, but if they're not going to put a quarterback spy, it's going to continue to be there, and we're at the 1. At least we know this game is not going to be over. We could still get 1 stop. I just feel like the odds of it happening are pretty low. The 2-point conversion would also be nice, though I don't know if either of our tight ends got enough separation. You drop that? Oh well, we're lined up to stop the run. We're all in that hole, and we know that the pass is coming on 3rd and 8. They take the drag, and they have enough. Auburn's quarterback has over 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and no turnovers. He's having a great day. I wasn't kidding about them playing really well. It just sucks that even if we do stop them on this 3rd down, it's going to be like impossible to come back, though I did put Poe back at returner with his 98 speed, hoping that he could make a play. Our best shot is probably just throwing up a ball to him, assuming that we can get it that far. They're running straight with him, but we're going to come back, catch it, and hang on. We have no timeout, so the clock is about to start running the second we get over that ball. It already has 8 seconds now. We might have 2 plays left. That is what we're going to need to win this game. And we didn't catch that. I thought Cutting was going to get to the ball first. He had the leverage. You know what, though? We had a great effort there at the end. I didn't even think we were going to have a chance at. We almost beat them. And if we have to face the Tigers again, he isn't going to have another generational performance. I can't say that loss is the end of the world, though. If we dropped one to 1-4 UConn, that would be. And I know you're seeing this great stat line out of Nicholas Wenning, but it was out of frustration simming another game. You see, I think I jinxed us against the Huskies. They somehow beat us by 8 points, but then we went out, we took out our frustration on Arkansas, and 4 of our last 6 opponents are ranked. I don't see how we could possibly make it to the playoffs. I mean, we can still hop into 2 games this season. Florida's the only undefeated team in SEC play, so we are going to play against the Gators. But no matter what happens at the Swamp, if we're losing to UConn and Sim, other teams are also going to beat us there. Since it's only season 4, I normally wouldn't even have that high of an expectation, but I think it's the fact that we have signed a 5-star recruit every year. We came in at an 88 overall, and we're literally competitive with everybody. It's currently 13 all in the final few minutes. That ball was somehow popped out. There's no way. It didn't even look like he was going to lose it, and all of a sudden it flies 5 feet in the air. That was a very rough offensive possession. I think I was looking to scramble too much. I have bit down at the play action, and we can't get over there. That's what the Gators needed, though. They're up by 7. And if we can somehow manage to score on this drive, you best believe we're going for the 2-point conversion. There will be no overtime. Robert Takeoff hasn't been able to audible throughout this entire game, but we are able to keep taking the hitch route. And with no audibles, it's going to be the same play. The swamp is going crazy, but they can't seem to pick up on cutting stopping right there. I've tried to change up the play call over and over. It isn't letting me, but you know what? If we can keep on getting 5-10 yards off of this, I will take it. Finally, they did allow me to call something else, and it looks like the Gators are more prepared for it than I was thinking. We'll take 5, we'll take 8, and we might as well use a timeout. Just the fact that we can mix in a run now makes me feel so much better. Blocks are looking pretty solid, and it honestly might be smart to just run it back, especially if we're going to get a good look. We've run the clock down to 14 seconds, and we basically have 2 fullback dive attempts to try and get into the end zone, but this is only step 1 of our 2-part plan. We also have a 2-point conversion to attempt, and I would have McClure as the running back getting this, but he was tired. They stopped it, and I don't think I've ever seen the computer pull that off before. This onside kick's not going to be a great one. Goes straight into their hands. So we're going to lose to Florida after I thought we just had an automatic win. I thought that was an easy 2-point conversion. I really thought that was just free for us. We're sitting at 4-3. I don't even know if we'll beat Tennessee, but it turns out we have. We're now 5-3, and there's a lot of players that are probably going to leave if we can't get our coach prestige up. I can still hop into one more game this season. I'm just not sure what the best one for that would be. I feel like we're going to struggle on the road at these 2 Texas teams, but we've beaten the Longhorns every single season in Sim. I just don't know what we'll do against Ole Miss. I feel like we should play the Rebels now. I don't think we're going to be in the running for a conference championship spot, and that would mean we would have lost every single game that we hopped into this year. That would completely defeat the purpose of me even playing these. We're supposed to have better chances when I'm out there controlling us. I feel like we still do play better whenever I'm in. We'll see that. I mean, we're in a decent position in this one, but we'll see how it finishes, plus how we close out the season against those Texas teams. I really don't know what to expect still. We're about to take a sack, and I feel like half the time whenever that happens, it's just because one of our linemen decided not to pick somebody up. It happens way too often in this game still. Heisman is programmed to be extremely hard. And so even though we've scored 31 points, we're relying on our defense. It is really nice that they got to stop right there though. And one thing I've tend to just forget about is the fact that we have a 98 speed receiver. Poe can run under the ball and put us up by 2 possessions. I don't like to do it too much, but I did not want the pressure of losing. And we just ran away with it from there, so we've been able to bounce back against Ole Miss. With only 3 losses at the moment, we could still be in the playoff hunt. It'll really just come down to how we finish this season. Vanderbilt is very winnable. And there it is. We only took them down by 1, but we took them down. I feel like with the limited stats we've seen out of Robert Takeoff, this season's got to be better for him than last year. And I can't believe I have left 35 coach points just laying around. We're going to boost up our receivers, our tight ends, and then we're also going to take the remaining 15 points and put them into our offensive line. Now this team should be fired up to go in at number 8 Texas A&M, win at Kyle Field, or lose this one by 6 points, and then the following week get blown out by Texas, the same Texas that we've been beating every year for like the last 2 seasons. I guess without Arch Manning, they're better off. That is so odd to me. We're 8th in the SEC, just like last year. We're going to get a bowl game. But I'm really starting to wonder how we're going to take next season to a different level where we win a championship, because next year is the last year number 5. I mean, we've basically maxed out all of the tactician stuff. The only thing that could still improve is our defensive coordinator. And it just hit me that not only do these 9 players all want to consider entering the portal, but another 15 on top of that are considering it because of our championship contender grade. There is literally no game that is going to be more important for Tulane football in the future than this Music City Bowl against Rutgers. I can't believe we're even in this position. We have got to go out and literally annihilate them. To have 25 players that are at a risk of transferring right before year number 5 in a 5-year rebuild, I've never had that before. If you want to guarantee a fail, that is exactly how you would do it. The SEC is just extremely hard. Catch the ball. We're already not doing great against Rutgers. We have to hit this field goal to get on the board, which we're going to do. But I am feeling the pressure. They just keep on staying out in front. and we're going to find our tight end over the middle for a touchdown. Farrell's actually listed as a left tackle right now, but I can put him in at tight end. And what's so great about that is you're going to see his overall has gone through the roof since he spent a season at left tackle developing his blocking. It's literally the best method if you want to get a high overall tight end on this game, especially if you want them to have a little bit of speed. But we got stopped there, and we'd been getting stopped all half until this drive right here. Up by 10 points, I'm feeling a little bit better. I mean, this literally means everything. But Rutgers refuses to go away, and I think we're going to have to just try and hit our tight end. The worst part is we had it too right there. On 3rd and 13, we're escaping the pressure. Are we going to get enough? We aren't, but I'm going to run back the play that failed us against Florida, and out of Wildcat, this is at least going to work against the Scarlet Knights. I have noticed something though. We are missing our senior running back. That'd make a bit more sense why we ended up losing those final couple games. And I think we're going to have to throw for it on 3rd down unless we can get a huge run on 2nd down. It's going to be 3rd and 4. This is the game right here. This is what we need. We're ready to throw the hitch route. We pick it up. But apparently it's not over yet. They still have 1 timeout left, and with about 2 minutes left on the clock, we need a tutty. I really can't believe that in Season 4, we're sweating a 7-5 versus 7-5 bowl game against Rutgers. But that's how things have ended up. On 3rd and goal, pitch it last second, no fumble, touchdown, we're good. We have won the Music City Bowl. We have redeemed Tulane. And I have no idea if that's going to prevent a lot of these players from transferring out or not, because apparently our championship contender didn't go up. It doesn't make any sense to me. We finished 8-5. Notre Dame won it all. And Robert Takeoff had 17 interceptions this year. I don't know what caused him to throw double the amount of picks. Maybe our playbook's not hitting well. Jamari McClure did not finish with over 1,000 rushing yards. We still have not had a 1,000-yard receiver. And you know what? I've been trying to stick with the team playbooks for all of the rebuilds I've been doing recently, but I think for this one, if we're going to win it all next year, we're going to have to go over to Clemson. We already have a ton of our players just trying to enter the portal, including quarterback Robert Takeoff. You better not leave us. Absolutely insane for him to even threaten that. John Creer, the first 5-star that we recruited, is also coming back, which is good. And then I know that on the other side, he's going to come back. It's guaranteed. We're actually getting pretty lucky so far. Our center is not going to return, though. Our linebacker, right outside linebacker, Bill O'Daniel's coming back. Can we get a lineman to return? Definitely going to have a little bit of an issue there. We did convince a couple other players that might not even start to come back. I'm just upset that we ended up losing some talent. It could have been worse than it was. And from the looks of it, our defense is still rated super highly, even after losing our Marnie Cargo. It would be nice if the transfer portal was useful for us this year, but I think everybody highly rated from Louisiana and Mississippi both. We already tried to recruit. And I'm really hopeful that when we move our 2 tight ends that we put at left tackle back over to tight end, they're going to be high overalls. Like Willie Farrell's a 95. I'm not sure exactly how true that 95 really was, because even with the tactician boost after training results, it says he's a 94, 90 without them. But either way, this team's a 92 overall, 94 overall defense. And even if our receivers are not as high of an overall as I would have liked, even if our offensive line took some hits, I would say our offensive line is still pretty solid. It really is our defense that's on a whole other level though. I'm thinking that if we cut this tight end and wide receiver, our offensive overall should jump. And it did. It's up to a 92 going into season number 5. Will we find LSU on our schedule though? That's really all that I want, and they're not here. Maybe if we have a good season though, we can meet them in the conference championship. Robert Takeoff's accuracies never got to where I wanted them to be at all. It's going to be hard to win with accuracies like that. And it actually has me checking out some of our other quarterbacks. Lefty Dom Burks. What is his accuracies? They are a little bit better. 90 deep throw accuracy. We also have Cole as another option, but he is pretty similar to Robert, so I don't know what to do at the quarterback position. But I feel like starting Dom Burks instead of Robert Takeoff might be dumb, since Robert Takeoff has better and more abilities. It really just comes down to 75 deep throw accuracy or 90. What is going to work out better? I really don't know what to think about that. We are going to be able to start the 95 speed sophomore running back though. He's an 84. And this is what we've spent 4 years working for. We're not going to lose to FCS Southeast. We are also not going to lose to New Mexico, though only beating them by 7 has me so nervous to sim games the rest of this year. And I feel like we're just shooting for another very average, slightly above 500 season with Tulane. It's a championship or bust year. Every single time that we're leveling up, I'm just going to pour our coach points into tactician. We still need 15 more to max it all out. And I think my plan is to just sim up to our 5th game because that one was against a ranked opponent. In a perfect world, we're going to be undefeated going into it. We just beat Iowa State by 8. But we have one more team in our way, our first SEC game against Ole Miss, who's an 89. I really didn't trust us to come out on top of that one, but we did by another 1 possession score, and it is time to go back to the swamp for the 2nd season in a row and play Florida, who's also ranked in the top 3 for a 2nd season in a row. I can just tell this is going to be a long year. We have to play Arkansas after that, who's at the top of the SEC, and there's going to be like no room for error. I know that if we're going to take down Florida, we're going to have to start this game off with a great drive, and what we've done is we've worked it all the way down to a 3rd and 6 where I should have just scrambled off of the rip. We're going to throw this last second. Great start. I hit the wrong button. I couldn't tell who that guy closest to the sideline was. And they marched down the field, got a field goal, but they took so long to get that field goal. Robert Takeoff's accuracies, though, might be enough to drive me nuts. Offensive line's not blocking. And we might not be good enough to win a championship with a 93 overall team. It feels like a crazy thing to say, but as we head into the 4th quarter, we are still trailing by 3. And the only reason this game is even close is because our defense is incredible. If this was a good pass, we'd have a touchdown. With some of the speed that we have at receiver, we can literally beat teams off of the line every single time. But we have a quarterback that has no deep throw accuracy, and this field goal is going to tie things up. I still think that we might be having a quarterback switch, though. I'm really not sure, especially once we get to the playoffs. It's just whenever I'm out there, the accuracies really matter versus in sim, I'm not sure it even calculates it. What I literally might try to do in these final 7 minutes is run out all of the clock and settle for a field goal. How effective is that going to be? I'm not really sure. You never know when they're just going to get a free rusher in that's going to be able to stop the run, but here we go past midfield. The problem, though, is we're not going to be able to get through all the clock. No matter what happens on 3rd and inches, it's still going to be about 2 minutes left in this game. And with them still having all 3 of their timeouts left, knowing that we could just settle for a field goal, we had to get it. I do think it's pretty incredible. I did not throw it once that drive, and we had that much success. On 3rd and 10, I knew they were going to try and run, but I still have not put quarterback spies out there on the field. I'm waiting for them to try and throw it at us, and they haven't done it. There's just 8 seconds left in the game now. I mean, at some point, they had to go through the air, and I am really hoping that they just go short right here because they're not going to reach the end zone. We have done it. We've survived versus Florida. We didn't score many points like last year, but it doesn't matter. We won at the Swamp, and I think like all of Trayvon's running yards came on that last drive. We are finally going to get ranked, though. We're back inside the top 25, and I have to decide what games are the most important for me to play. I feel like we should hop into ours against Arkansas just since they're also 5-0, but I'm going to guess they're like an 80 overall. They're going to be an 86 actually. This could be big to play. On the other hand, we still have to play at Tennessee though. We have to play Texas, so I really don't know. But as long as we're able to win this, we will have the flexibility to probably lose 2 games and still make the playoffs. So that's why I just want to make sure that things are going to go smooth against the Razorbacks. At least from what I've seen so far, they're not going to compete. I really don't know how they're sitting at 5-0. They've had a little bit better of a second half ever since that moment though. And I didn't even get a field goal off because I thought we had a timeout when we didn't. I have to say, the fact that we're losing this game with 4 minutes left as well is just pure embarrassing. I was so confident, especially after we started up 14-0, but I shouldn't have been because we need help. We need Arkansas to press out and Poe, leave him in single coverage or something right here. We should be able to set our feet, playmaker, get a huge gain over to Cutting. And as long as I don't throw a dumb interception getting this far down the field, we should be taking the lead, which we do. That's going to put them on a 3rd and 13. We are basically ready to cover it all, but they're going to be able to run for it. And you best believe it's not happening on this 3rd and 18. I have a quarterback spy out there. He has 130 rushing yards, which is why the quarterback spy is not coming off of the field. On 4th and 16, testing our safety is not a smart decision, though getting the interception there could have hurt our field positioning, except he returns it. They still have all 3 of their timeouts. This game will not be over until we pick up a first down, which is easy. And I knew it was going to be a big deal for us to have a 95 speed running back when I saw him in season 3. The real question now is what is going to be the final game I hop into this season? Tennessee's an 86. They just lost a game. I felt comfortable simming. You're going to see number 6 Texas though still on the schedule. We have to play at Texas A&M again. I feel like this is the hardest game by far, which is why even after beating Tennessee, I also want to hop into our game against the Longhorns, because that'd make me feel better about our spot in the SEC. At the moment, we're ranked 8th. We're actually behind them. And it's the game of the week. I think this is the first one that we've gotten in this rebuild. I really like that we have the home field advantage on our side as well. But whenever it comes to scoring, we have not had much success in this game yet. I'm hoping that we can put it by that player. Instead, they get the pick. And I'm really not enjoying Robert Takeoff at the moment. We're trying to score in the final seconds of the half. That's short. But instead of kicking the field goal, we've been aggressive. We're going to go for the fullback dive, and we're going to get in. That was an extremely close call. It could have been a bad decision. But nothing went right for us in that first half. We needed something to, and to start the second, we have tied things up. To make things even better, they threw an interception a few plays later, and we're going to score another touchdown. So it feels like everything has just flipped. As bad as Texas was playing for a little bit, though, they did not give up. They've gotten us to a third down. They were able to tie things up. And with 2 minutes left, this is literally anybody's game. I'm looking to get to our tight end deep, but they had a lot of help back there, so we're scrambling. And I feel like our streak routes haven't been getting as open as I would like recently, but our drags are. It worked out great for us. A Texas defender ran into another Texas player. I think we're about to have a touchdown as well, if that's on target, which makes me question, does he really have 75 deep throw accuracy? Robert Takeoff had some bad passes in this game, but he also just came up clutch. And you know what? I'm going to use her running off of the edge. I'm going to try to generate fast pressure. I'm using the defensive line. I've never played like that before, but I am kind of curious how fast we're able to get in. That's why I need to use her. I don't know if they're going to call a timeout, though. They have none left. They've hurried up to the line. This is probably the final play of the game. Are they either going to tie it up or we're going to win? We should have gotten a sack right there. He's still standing. But at the end of the day, we are going to finish strong and beat Texas. That was a super stressful matchup. It was very up and down, but we have put ourselves in the best position I can with the 3 games I hopped into. And for our next 3 ones, we're going to beat South Carolina by 4, UMass by 10, and Vandy by 14. What I really don't like about this team is we've not had any dominating performances where we just blow teams out. But after this game against Texas A&M, I don't have to sim anything else. Once we're in the playoffs, I can play all the postseason stuff, even the conference championship. And so if we lose, it's on me. We've gotten Auburn in the championship instead of Georgia. Not really sure how that tiebreaker works. We did beat Texas A&M 55-24 to be exact, our best offensive game of the entire season. But in case you are wondering, no, we have nobody that's in the Heisman race. Kentucky's quarterback is before Robert Takeoff. I really feel like we lucked out getting the Tigers in this game, even after the close matchup we had with them last year. And winning this would easily get us a first round bye in the playoffs. We'd only have to win 3 more. But I'm still not sure exactly how to feel about this team. Here we are in the second quarter without a single point until we beat them off the line. And I feel like without Alton Pohl stretching the field for our offense, we would be in a much different position. That should have been a tutty. I have no problem going for it on 4th and 1 though. Underthrown again. They somehow tipped it into an interception. I think if I waited a second longer, we would have had it. I was really hoping to split the safeties there. I just got impatient, which is why we've been running it more in the second half and also hitting some RPOs. Those are going to be a big thing we have to utilize in the playoffs. And here's the thing. I knew that we were better than Auburn. I just wasn't expecting for us to really run away with it the way we did. I mean, they have spent the entire game trying to reach the end zone. They finally do. But they're still behind by 16 points, going for the 2-point conversion. They threw it at us. And I can tell you right now, any comeback you think they're doing is not happening. I actually cannot do this with EA right now. They are trying to set them up. They're going to let us get a pick, though. And thank goodness for that, because I was starting to get a little nervous when they had all 3 of their timeouts left. That completion is going to do it, though. They're never going to see the ball again. And player of the game is going to go to Alton Poe. I'm telling you all, without him, there is 0 shot that this team is undefeated. And I'm just so happy we've brought Tulane back to glory, putting them in the SEC. We did not get any awards, though. And it has been a long time since I have seen 3 13-0 teams going into the playoffs. It looks like we're going to end up getting to play UConn, though, which I will take, except the one time we faced them in this video, I know they beat us. And I'm just glad that Robert Takeoff had a much better season than he did the year before. He cut back on the interceptions. This is looking more like his freshman year. But I don't think he rushed for over 500 yards his freshman year, so that's an extra bonus too. Then there's Cameron Gain, our #1 wide receiver. It was not Alton Poe, mainly just because SimStat slot receiver always does the best. Either way, I'm just happy that we have a few consistent targets that we can rely on. UConn averages almost as many points per game than us. us, and we better not lose to the Huskies. I don't care what the overalls say. I don't care that we're going to be able to upgrade our running backs a bit more. I have experienced too many close playoff games that should have never been tight. And I still can't believe that we've been able to stay undefeated. I feel like something's got to go wrong. It might not be against the Huskies, but it's definitely coming at some point. We're getting a huge run right here from Paris. The fullback takes it all the way. And he's not really a fullback. I never recruit any of those, but having him there was amazing. It makes fullback inside a very viable option for us. Once again, getting some good looks out of him, and the cut to the outside, he's going to the one. Are we having a breakout game from our backup or third string running back in the playoffs? He's like 3 touches deep for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. I am a little disappointed though that he's not out there for this 3rd and 8. He should be in Wick's position. I mean, Wick is going to help us pick it up. It just feels like we have so many different running backs. I can't keep up with them at all. Though we have a touchdown on the next play, as that should have been caught. It was probably overthrown though too. I need to blame Robert Takeoff. He's trying to avoid the sack right here, and he did. If this is on target, you know what? He just made up for the pass that he missed. And we're about to see if we can get another big run out of Paris. This might be the only play that we need to go to. I'm not sure we should be using any other run. And on the final play of the 3rd quarter, he gets his 3rd touchdown. I feel like even though UConn's kept it pretty competitive, I've not been worried for a second. And if we could just get some more points on this drive right here, this game would be over. That was not where I wanted the ball to go to, but somehow we got very lucky. I think we should have been intercepted. Another touchdown for Paris. Will we see him in the playoffs again? I have no idea. I feel like his stats aren't even that good, but he showed up for us. And I don't know why he feels so fast with only 88 speed. Maybe it's because he's 5'9". Our next matchup is going to challenge us a lot though. It's going to be the undefeated Horned Frogs. So I don't think I'm going to be able to mess around, and we're the only 2 undefeated teams left in the country. TCU actually scores 1 more point per game than us, but I'm hoping to treat them the way that Georgia did in the national championship. And we have made it way too far to mess up now. As we approach halftime though, neither team has been able to score a single point. What is that? I genuinely don't know what we just witnessed. He just flopped in front of the ball instead of catching it. We're taking the dragged out and Poe. I can trust him. Theoretically, we should be kicking our field goal here. I mean, we need to get points, but I'm going to give it to Ferris. And Paris is going to go into the end zone. Is that going to be enough for us to beat TCU though? Of course not. They've been able to score 21 while we've only gotten 14. So that one moment was not going to seal the game for us. In fact, what are we doing? There's just no urgency to block anybody. Everyone was getting in as a free rusher, but Out and Poe went off the line, ran straight by the corner. We've tied it up. And then they got down to the 1-yard line where we're going to make them lose 4 yards. Here's the problem though. Do you know how much time's left in this game? Only 50 seconds. And I think we could have stopped them there, but it automatically switched me onto someone else. What coverage are they in to leave Out and Poe streaking down the field? I have never felt more blessed in my life. All we have to do is not give up a huge play for them to get into field goal range. But they are getting closer as we speak. Can we get a bad read or something? I'm there. All right, now what we really need is them to run commit or do whatever dumb thing led to that last touchdown. We're going to have Cutting on one side. We're going to have Poe on the other. Is he good enough to outrun these 2 dudes? He catches it. Here's the thing. I immediately called a timeout too, so we're going to have to hit this field goal. I really hope that it does not miss. And we have done it. We've beaten TCU. We're going on to the national championship. Once again, it all comes back to Out and Poe. But that's okay with me. It's all we needed, and we've gotten USC. That's the 2nd time now that we've avoided playing Georgia in a big game. But I'm pretty sure the Trojans had the Heisman winner, so we should probably be pretty concerned. This entire season, I've just been waiting for us to pick up a loss. And it never happened. This 5-year rebuild could not have gone any better for us. If we can beat USC in the championship, right here, we're able to get in. And that's the beauty of a 95 speed running back. We had an incredible first drive, but USC has kept it very close throughout this first half. Right here, we're going to be able to complete it if we turn around. And that would have allowed us to kick a field goal before the half. But instead, maybe they wanted us to get a touchdown to Out and Poe because I saw him beat that press. Just terrible decision making from their defensive coordinator with that little time left in the first half. On 3rd and 10, we're well short. But just like we opened up the game the way that I wanted to, we have done well in the 3rd quarter too. We were able to go up 2 possessions. I think we're about to make it 3 possessions. But if giving it to our running back's not going to do it, we're going to have to give it to our backup. For your all's sake, part of me wishes that this was an entertaining championship to end this video, but we're about to stop them on 4th and 19. And of course, we're going to take home the national championship. We went undefeated with Tulane in the SEC. For a team built out of just Louisiana and Mississippi, this was great. And although I was a bit concerned about Robert Takeoff's accuracies, they weren't that bad. I mean, he definitely had his fair share of misses, which is why you're not going to see him declaring for the NFL draft early or anything. But we were successful in the 5-year Tulane rebuild. This is actually going to be the final video from this setup right here before I move. I'm moving tomorrow morning, so I'm glad I was able to get through this rebuild. And honestly, we still got like another 2 months before college football 26. I need some ideas and new, fun, exciting stuff to do on this game.